Today on Analogue Out, we've got some Disney Plus impressions. We've got a Sonic movie change. Do games really need to be fun? I don't know. And we're going to talk about the game of the year. Check it out. Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of Analogue Out. My name's Pat, and today, boy, we've got a full load for you. We've got Neil here. How you doing, buddy?
What's up?
We got Bowman in from Japan.
Hey everybody. Hello.
And we got Mike.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah. So got some. This is basically the end of the year kind of talk. We do this every year. We like to bring up our favorite game of the year, but before we get into all that, I'd say the biggest thing that happened this week is that they launched the old Disney Plus money in their pocket. Have you guys seen any of the Disney Plus stuff? Or
I saw the Mandalorian, both episodes.
I have downloaded that. I've yet to watch it. I've seen a certain screenshot from the episode,
okay,
which I found quite disturbing.
In my defense, I don't really subscribe to streaming services. Like, the only reason I have Netflix is because I get it off my family.
Yeah,
Bowman, you don't have to defend yourself to not to subscribe to this service.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
I don't do streaming services either.
I thought
no, I
Analogue
haven't
Out
seen
doesn't
anything
support
yet.
piracy.
Okay, well, since you guys haven't seen anything yet, we'll do a spoiler-free review of Mandalorian because me and Neil both watched it. You saw episode 2 as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. But my first initial, right off the bat, impressions were that it's the best Star Wars thing since Return of the Jedi.
Okay, I'm going to hands down
That's a
agree
bold
with
statement.
you. No, man. They did everything right in this show.
I mean, a lot of stuff has come out since Return of the Jedi.
I don't even like Star Wars like that.
Here's the thing, though. I can't say, like, I haven't read all the comics, I haven't read all the books and stuff, but I'm just talking solely, like, live-action stuff. If you're including the animated shows, I would say it's the best thing since the Clone Wars miniseries, but it's easily better than the last 4 movies they made. Plus, I would say it's better by far than the prequel
Let's say
trilogy.
Star Wars acknowledging themselves as finally the space western was an amazing feel throughout the show.
I don't know. I mean, I feel stupid even mentioning it, having not played it, but something like Knights of the Old Republic.
Okay, so I'm not talking about games. I didn't play that, but I'm just solely talking about, like, film.
Because you said, like, the best Star Wars thing.
Yeah, the best Star Wars video release.
All right.
Easily since Return of the Jedi, and here's why.
I'd buy that.
Finally, action.
Okay, well, I mean, aside from the action and stuff that in the budget's insane. I mean, it's a 30-minute show. These are 30-minute episodes, but we're talking.
That's why episode 2 disappointed me, though.
I mean, these are like $50 million episodes for 30 minutes. They're all practical effects. The costumes, the sets, everything incredible. But even beyond all that, the reason why I loved it so much was it does everything that a Star Wars spinoff or a sequel should do, in that it expands all the lore and things like that. But it does it in a way that the other Star Wars spinoffs haven't been able to do, which is basically just they don't rub your face in it. They're not like, hey, remember this guy? Remember this ship? Oh, the Jedi, the Rebellion. Like, they don't talk about any of that shit. It's just solely the main character shows up, he meets maybe an alien of a race that you're familiar with, and you learn more about that race and, like, what they do and how they interact with people and stuff. And that's what I mean when I say, like, they've expanded the lore in the best possible way without being like, remember this?
Yeah, like, especially, like, not trying to rip off the old what they had. I just loved how like it was this Western, but it had this like RPG element. Like he's upgrading his armor, and it shows later on.
Mm-hmm.
Like the attention to detail in the show is amazing. I do feel like episode 1, episode 2 should have just been combined.
Well, that is. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a complaint of mine. It's just that's just the way it is. These are bite-sized episodes.
I don't know,
feels
man.
like
if we have 8 episodes per season, I don't need a filler episode.
Is that how many episodes there are?
Yeah,
8 episodes. So it's a very short show. With a show the scope, when we're talking about budget and stuff, it's short. I mean, he shows up. There's 3 acts in a show. It's 10 minutes an act. He shows up, talks to somebody, moves on act 2, does something, moves on that for 10 minutes. It's a very quick, short show. I personally, I'm not used to seeing like a high budget live action show that's only 28 minutes or whatever.
That's really surprising to me because for whatever reason, I was under the impression that they were hour-long
and I think
episodes.
so was I, because that's just the format of live action TV nowadays. But
you think it has to do with the expense?
it
Like
might.
it was all produced, and then they decided, okay, well, how can we
split
cut
it
this
into
up?
8 episodes. Yeah, I mean, they need people to be subscribed to Disney Plus beyond the like trial period. That's why they also didn't just release it all at once.
I feel like with Star Wars, it's like, all right, let's just do it in small increments so we don't mess it up for the fans. Because they have been doing that completely.
Yeah, I mean, they're bite-sized chunks. There's, it's, to me, it's pretty much exactly what I wanted when Disney originally bought Star Wars. I thought that this is what it was going to be like, and it hasn't been. They've relied way too heavily on nostalgia, and this is perfect. In my mind, like, a perfect example, and this is it's not really a spoiler, but in the first, like, scene of the first episode, basically, he talks to somebody, and the main character is a bounty hunter. The guy tries to pay him, and he tries to pay him in Imperial credits. This takes place in between episodes 6 and 7. And he tries to pay him in Imperial credits, and he's like, I don't want these. These are worthless. The Empire's gone. And he just goes, well, they still spend. And he opts to take Mon Calamari money instead for half the amount. And that's the end of the conversation, and that's the only time in the whole show so far that the Empire's even been mentioned. The Rebellion's never been mentioned. It was just a passing thing of, oh, here's some Imperial credits, and he's like, nah, I don't want these. And that was it. It wasn't like, what, Imperial credits? But Luke Skywalker and the Jedi and the Rebellion defeated the Empire years ago. Like,
that's always been what's frustrating about everything Star Wars, like post the original trilogy, is that they seem to, fall so hard on the original characters and the themes when it's like you have an entire universe.
Right.
And you can be as creative as you want and people will buy it. So, I'm not going to spoil, but from that one shot I saw from the end of the first episode, I'm willing to bet you know what I'm talking about.
And to your point, it's like bringing back Boba Fett without really bringing back Boba Fett.
Well, Boba Fett was so inconsequential. Like, he gained this status.
I'm glad that they did this instead of the Boba Fett movie that they had planned, because
Boba
the Mandalorian
Fett is an action figure.
Yeah, exactly. Mandalorian as a concept is far more interesting than Boba Fett as a character. The Mandalorians are a area of Star Wars that they've not explored at all in the movies, and they're an extremely interesting race of people. They're like a militaristic, almost tribal society that's force sensitive, but they're not Jedis, and they don't really explore. They're not like super force sensitive, but they're like it makes them better in combat, and like that stuff's far more interesting to me than Boba Fett, who's a cool badass because he's got a nice ship and got Han Solo.
Yeah, no. I think the what's his name? Mando? I guess that's
no. They haven't said his name.
Mando, Space Lord.
Mando the Mandalorian.
Well,
I'm
I'm
Mando.
going to refer to him as Mando.
Brother to D.
Thank Christ his name's not Mando.
That's what they refer to him as.
Yeah, so, I mean, overall... No, they refer to him as Mandalorian.
No, when he's at the bar in the beginning, they call him Mando.
Yeah. I mean, overall, though, without going into spoilers, really awesome show. If you're into Star Wars at all, and you long for the old days of Star Wars, this pretty much, it feels like Star Wars without just being like, hey, remember this?
What was it, Dragonfly? What was that series?
Firefly.
Firefly?
If you like Firefly, you probably like this.
This is very different than Firefly.
I think it
Well,
has that
for me,
Western
like...
vibe.
For me, I've been tuning out everything Star Wars related for such a long time that, yeah, like, you've got me pretty interested in it, Pat, just because I just don't even pay attention to all the shit that comes out now, because there's just so much of it.
Well, one of the reasons why this is a good show is, I'm going to say, if you're not like a hardcore Star Wars fan, don't bother watching this show. And that's fine, because that's kind of been the problem with the new Star Wars movies, is they're trying to appeal to everyone, and this doesn't appeal to everyone. If you're not interested in Star Wars, if you're not interested in the world or the different alien races and just the various different lore of Star Wars, this isn't really going to interest you, and that's a good thing. After Last Jedi and Force Awakens.
I disagree. I'm not really into the lore of Star Wars or anything like that, but because it's so action, the pacing of the show itself, and like the whole Western feel too, it pulls me in and makes me want to learn a little bit more about, like, hey, who are these Mandalorians?
Sure, but it's not like a really... I mean, it's not like a super deep, dramatic show.
But
that's
the problem with Star Wars. I don't want something super
right, and
deep
that's what I like about it, is it doesn't need to be
But
this.
I think that concept is universal. I think more people will like it, even if you don't like Star Wars, because you don't have to be attached to lore. You don't have to be like, it'll grab your attention from the beginning to the end.
Sure, fair enough. So, it's a recommend for me.
Me too.
Like Neil said, it's a Western in space, and that's it's pretty tried and true formula at this point. Like Firefly is a good example. People like Westerns in different settings. I don't think people like Westerns that much in actual Western settings, but
It's like the least popular, least produced genre
Right.
of the past how many decades?
yeah. So, and then also, while we're on the topic of Disney Plus, I watched the Imagineering Story, which is like a documentary series on the streaming service, and this is more probably for me and Bowman, but it's basically it's a 6-part miniseries, and the first episode dives into the creation and first several years of Disneyland. We've got interviews with like the creators of the attractions and things like that. It's got footage of them making the first animatronics and stories from what it was like back then, where basically they'd never done anything like it, and Walt would have an idea and would just be like, can you do it? And they'd be like, probably not. And he'd be like, all right, we'll figure it out. And that's kind of the gist of the show. These are hour-long episodes. It was an hour-long documentary. It's a 6-part series, so I imagine, like, this basically went up to when Walt died in, like, 1967. So I imagine the next episode will be focused on the Florida project, and then after that, you know, the 80s, and then the fourth episode will be 90s. Fifth episode will be like Euro Disney and Hong Kong and things like that, and then the sixth episode will be like modern day rides. But it's all focused on the theme parks and the creation of the rides. And
Did they talk about him freezing himself?
no, but they did show the basketball court in the Matterhorn.
Oh.
Yes.
So, did you watch this, Bowman?
No, but I'm familiar with that story.
Well, everyone knows the story, but it was like, okay, is the story actually true? And it
So
really
for
wasn't.
us that don't know the story, could you elaborate?
The story is that there's a basketball court underneath the Matterhorn.
There it is.
Yeah.
and it wasn't a real basketball court. It's just a hoop that's up in the break area. But they showed that and just kind of what it took to create it. Matterhorn was the first steel roller coaster ever made, and at the time it was like they'd never done anything like that. And Walt was just like, "Yeah, like build this mountain, and we're gonna have the Skyway go through it, and we want like a roller coaster going through the mountain." And they're like, we don't know how to do this," which was basically the gist of the show for a lot of it. Was just he was like, "Yeah, it's gonna be great. Do this, this, and this. Do you think you could do it?" And they're like, "Maybe." And he's like, "Cool, do it."
Little do people know that's how business works. I have an idea, figure it out.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
I mean, that's why Roy Disney was so great, because Roy Disney was always like the sensible brother out of the both of them.
Well, and that's the thing, and that's what they focus on in the documentary too. Is like Roy is constantly like, so we have to pay for this, and Walt would be like, "Cool, mortgage our business," and he's like, "That's not a good idea," and he'd be like, "Do it anyway," and then Roy would begrudgingly get the money from the bank.
And it all worked out.
It did all work out, and they actually talk about that quite a bit, where it's like before Disneyland, they were a small company. They had a couple movies that were decent hits, but you don't like a small movie company nowadays. You don't see them building a 100-acre, multi-billion-dollar theme park, and that was a big deal at the time. Everyone thought they were crazy, and that it was too far away from LA. There was no way that it was too expensive. It was too far from LA. There wasn't accessible transit there. Nobody was going to go. Theme parks were dying.
Build it, they will come.
Yeah. There you go. Field of Dreams.
I think that even like the media like preview and stuff was kind of a flop too. So they were still worried. Did they talk about that?
Oh yeah, and then they talked about it for months after the release. The newspapers and stuff panned it. People loved it, and it was always at capacity when it first opened. But all the like journalists and stuff said it was shit.
That's
well, it had a really rough opening too. Like the opening was really.
You'd have to take a
really
quick
a mess.
break. I gotta go pee pee.
All right, you better start now.
All right.
Can't you like get arrested for that in Japan?
Vaping.
Oh, you're right.
Honestly, I wouldn't be
Japan?
surprised if it's illegal in Japan.
Nah, I see people vape.
Really?
It's not
They're real
common,
big
but
on their
yeah.
cigarettes in Japan.
They do love them, but I've seen people vape occasionally.
Yeah, Japan was crazy. Like people were smoking. They have a smoking room in like the trains and stuff. Yeah, and then also
like
in the
malls.
malls.
Restaurants
Like-
you can smoke.
Yeah, and like in the shopping malls, they have a little smoking room in the mall, and the walls are just brown.
You go into one of those like conveyor belt sushi places and you see someone's cigarette butt go by.
Yeah, they allow you to smoke in restaurants. I know that they're trying to ban it for they're trying to crack down on it for the
Doesn't
Olympics.
China have the plague going on right now?
China? This is Japan. The
plague?
Get your Asian countries.
No, I said
straight
China
out.
has the plague.
It's racist.
Plague?
Yeah. There's a form of the plague going on around.
Yeah,
in
it's
China.
called communism.
No, like the black plague.
They're a plague to hospitality workers. I know that.
Apparently, the black plague is returning.
Anyway, so I would highly recommend the Imagineering story. Bowman, where
we
you
still
at on
recording?
this? Yep, it's recording
The whole time.
Where am I
Already
at?
paused it.
Yeah, where you at on the Imagineering story? Are you chomping at the bit?
I want to see it for sure, but yeah, I mean, like as somebody who's been like studying this and reading multiple books on it, I'm curious to see if they have anything that I haven't like seen before.
Well,
But
they've
it sounds
got
like a pretty cool
interviews,
show.
like modern day interviews with the Imagineers from the 50s.
That's
So, yeah, so I would be surprised if there wasn't at least some things in there that you hadn't heard or seen already.
Do you want to know why I want Disney Plus?
Sure.
Darkwing Duck.
What?
Darkwing Duck,
Oh.
man.
Sorry, trouble hearing.
Darkwing
Let's go.
Back
Old
to
school, baby.
the current topic.
Are gargoyles on there too?
Yes, actually.
Holy shit.
For the first
Holy
time in
shit.
decades, they're available. Anyway, what were you saying?
How recent of Imagineers do they get a hold of? Like, do you have any interviews with people from like the past 10, 15 years?
Well, like I said, so this is the first episode out of 6, and it was focused solely on.
Oh, it's a series.
Yeah, it's a 6-part miniseries, and it's focused right now. The first episode is like 1953 to 1967.
Okay, excuse me. I thought it was just like a standalone documentary one time.
Right.
Yeah,
so,
I'm curious who they got because most of those Imagineers are dead.
Well, they had the guy who created the Matterhorn.
Okay.
Mike is perplexed here because Neil's taking a selfie of us.
Selfie time.
Not used to this level of flattery, I suppose.
Selfie o'clock.
Neil's derailing you guys.
So yeah, the Matterhorn. They had the Matterhorn creator on there. They've got like some interviews. I don't know if the people were dead or not. If they're dead, they just use old audio interviews from them.
Okay.
Yeah, so they have footage of them.
Well-
What's really cool is they have footage of audiences like watching the shows
That's
from
nice.
the opening. So
Yeah.
like they have footage of the audiences watching like the first Tiki Room show and stuff.
Well, like a year or so
That's
ago,
cool.
some guy like restored old like camcorder footage from his like parents or something when they went like the first couple months
Right.
of Disneyland.
I remember that.
It was maybe like 3 minutes long total of like all the different
Oh, I haven't seen
bands
that.
spliced together.
Oh, really? Yeah, you
And
would like that.
the quality of the restoration and like that sort of like glimpse into the past was
Mm-hmm.
so interesting, even as someone who's not sort of, you know,
Big Disney fan.
yeah, focused on this sort of stuff as you and Bowman, but just seeing like the original like Frontierland with the Native Americans doing their little show and
Yeah.
riding on the real wagons around the little loop, like it seemed like
He had
such
like horseback rides too at one point.
Oh yeah, just like the giant sculpted whale leading into whatever attraction that was.
That's still there.
yeah.
That's still there, yeah.
It just seemed like a
Storyboat.
an exciting
Storybook
time.
boats. Yeah. Yeah, it's cool, Bowman. If you haven't seen that, definitely check it out on YouTube. It's like from the opening, basically, or like the opening year, and it's like colorized camcorder footage.
I will definitely check that out.
So, yeah, highly recommend the Imagineering story, and apparently they've got some other stuff coming that's like that, so I'll be checking that shit out when it comes. Moving on, you guys see the new Sonic trailer?
I did.
I did.
I think everybody did, Neil.
Yes, I did.
All right, so they changed the look of Sonic due to fan outcry.
So much better.
Yeah, absolutely. And now I think that was really the only issue with the movie. And now I think it's going to be 10 out of 10.
I'm not gonna watch it either way.
You're going to watch either way?
I feel
Nah.
very bad for everyone involved in that production.
Well, I don't know how much of the movie was done, but they must have wasted so much money doing, because they have to go frame by frame.
It's their fucking fault. How
replacing.
did they look at that shit and think it was okay?
I heard someone explain it as the old model looked like a teenager in a suit, and I'm like, yeah, it was ghastly.
I don't know what it looked like, but it was
gave
think
people
unsettling.
nightmares.
They were trying to go for like an 80s like puppet look with it almost, where I think
just
that's
the
the way they were
sunken
trying
in
to, like-
eyes and the and the teeth.
Yeah,
and
he was
stuff,
too
like-
human. Like my brain couldn't register that shit right.
He had white hands.
Yeah, it was weird.
It was horrific, and the redesign is so much better.
That's
and-
gonna sell toys.
Also, well, I don't know about
It's
that.
Sonic,
What? I mean,
man.
it's not a new character.
Punch.
Like, this is a franchise that is so lacking in enthusiasm at this point. It just boggles my mind who was able to convince the production that it was worth the time to actually redo it.
And
Because-
they got Jim Carrey.
Well,
And he's probably going to be the only redeemable part of the whole movie.
Maybe.
I hope so. I really do. It seems like he's.
I saw a little cut at him at the end as Dr. Roboto at the end. Like he was
That-
all,
Mr. Roboto.
That seems like some sort of like end credit scene or something. Like,
Nah,
it's
I
gotta
think it may be real. Or maybe like a last end cut.
I think it was just a bullshit thing they put in there because it's very clear that they're in like the Sonic world. In the background, it looks like Green Hill Zone or something, and like, yeah, I think it was just something that's going to be 5 seconds, and they put it in the trailer because people would be like, "Look, it's Sonic."
Basically,
I mean, maybe
I think,
because Sonic uses like that his ring to transport them in different places and stuff. I could see them like having like a quick dumb scene where just
Exactly.
he accidentally transports them back to like a real Sonic
Well,
scene.
because we're 2 trailers in, and there's been a collective 1 second of footage
Yes.
like that, so it's not going to be any meaningful part of the movie.
I think it's just going to be a quick, stupid little like, whoa.
but with
moment.
Jim Carrey, I think they secured him, and he showed up, and he has a basic rundown of the scene, and they're just like, okay, do your thing.
Yeah.
Almost like Ghostbusters 2016 style, or whatever.
I mean, that's
year
what they
that
did.
was.
Ghostbusters 1984 too, pretty much. But
I just think he's beyond that point where he can combine his talents and what the character's supposed to be to make it something special. Because to me, I saw those trailers and I'm like, this is Jim Carrey trying to be wacky Jim Carrey. Like, I didn't feel like I was watching
Ace
a Sonic
Ventura?
character.
the
That's
trailer,
the very beginning of his career.
the trailer is definitely the second trailer is so much better than the first one.
Sure, in composition, but how much of that has to do with that redesign?
And how much of the movie are they putting in this trailer? Well, I've seen like 2 trailers of this thing.
Approximately 2.5 minutes.
Okay. Well, some key pop.
It will not make its money back. I'm predicting that.
I would say that's a safe prediction. It will flop, and it will be, and then we'll see another movie in 30 years.
And
I
they'll be
think
like,
that
why? We
they
listen to
took
the fans.
all of the internet's enthusiasm about hating on the design and thought, look at how much buzz this is generating. If we just fix this one thing, we're going to have this huge audience. But nobody really cares to see the movie.
No, not
they
at
just
all.
want to hate on the design.
Absolutely.
So, like, everyone's reveling in the fact that, oh, like, the collective finally got a soulless studio to change something. And I guess that's a badge of pride or something, but it's not gonna work out for them.
I didn't know that was a thing. I just didn't want to look at that old Sonic anymore. I thought we were all just happy we didn't have to see that.
Oh no, yeah. it
I
was
don't
like
have
a
to
big
see anything. I'm
outcry.
not going to see it still.
Oh, ads anywhere. You go to next movie trailer.
I'll download it and watch it. I mean, rent it.
Analog.
I'm in no
does
rush
not
to see this
support.
movie.
I never
have
have
no
in
drive to
my
see it.
life thought as Sonic as something that needed a narrative.
So, is there going to be the Sonic, the game for the movie?
I sure
That
hope
would be
so.
great.
They really need another piss poor game in the series.
It could be a 2D fighter.
Actually, a fun fact regarding the movie redesign is that they brought in the guy who designed Sonic Mania to do the redesign for Sonic, which I think is good because Sonic Mania is the only good thing they've done in like 25 years. So,
Well, that they
I'm
paid
not familiar
other people
with
to do.
Sonic Mania.
yeah, exactly. Anyway, I mean, that's all we really can say about old Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie.
Yeah, did a good job, but it's
What studio is
not gonna help.
producing that, by the way? Is it Columbia?
I don't fucking know. Let me do a fact check on that, but it's probably some 20th Century Fox bullshit.
Not anymore. Not after that Disney purchase.
Oh, true. Let's see who's making the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. It's gonna be the production companies. God, I've never even
Insert
heard of
drum
any
roll
of these.
effect.
Blur Studio, Original Film, Marza Animation. Oh, it's Paramount. Okay. It's being
Great.
distributed
Glad
by
we know that
Paramount.
now.
Yeah. Don't worry, guys. We got it down. Only a $90 million budget, so it's got to make like $300 million to make any money in it. I don't see that happening at all. All right, so on a scale of 1 to 10, though, how hyped are you for Cyclops in the movie?
What?
James Marsden.
What? Oh.
You're right, that is
right
him.
there.
I'm not psyched for anything in the movie. Nothing. There's nothing in the movie that appeals to me.
No.
What about the popped corn? Does that appeal to you?
The popcorn?
The popped corn.
I like the rationalization in the movie where he's
Can we move on from this shit?
Yeah, we'll move on. So, recently at a shareholder meeting, I believe, Nintendo president mentioned that they have no plans whatsoever to lower the price on any of their consoles. They want to keep this train rolling forever. So, just curious to get your guys' thoughts on Switch nearing its 3rd anniversary. It is a tablet of extremely outdated technology, and they're not planning on lowering the price from $300 at all in the foreseeable future. What are you guys' thoughts here?
Wasn't going to pay it. Didn't pay it. Have a Switch.
Yeah, that's right. You did get your Switch used. You're a real fiscally responsible Switch owner.
I think they're going about it like the right way in terms of like a business. They still put value on the newer models. Like the new model came out where it has better battery.
Sure, but your average Joe Schmo your average Joe Schmo doesn't even know that there is a new model.
Yeah, when I got mine, I was super insecure
but I'm saying
about
that.
Never used it handheld.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is they're still selling at the same price model, but the same price, but they're not like still making the same exact product. They are making hardware revisions as they come. So I'm not like completely. I'm not surprised or even like disappointed or anything. Just yeah, that's the business.
This
What
is
about the
like
Switch Lite, man?
their best-selling console so far, correct?
I believe I think it might be selling faster than the Wii. I don't know the actual details on that. At the very least, it's their 2nd best-selling console ever.
It's hard to judge just because they're combining both their markets now with this one.
Right.
I mean,
it's at a point. Why would you?
I just think that at this point,
Do you have a Switch, Mike?
No, I don't. Okay. And I wouldn't pay the current price. If it was lowered, I might consider it. So that's what I'm thinking. Like, at what point do you change your mindset from, well, this is selling really well, we're not going to waver, to a mindset that's more like, well, we want to start to capture more of the market that isn't going to jump in at this price point. If we can make a profit for selling it at $220 or $250, then let's do it.
I think that's inaccurate because you got to look at the price of the games, which are higher.
Yes,
than
the price of the
most.
games is very high.
All the accessories.
What are the price of the games?
The games never go down in price.
They're like
Zelda's
$60.
still $60.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, why are you gonna buy the cow when they're giving the milk for free? Kind of thing where it's still selling really well. Why lower the price? I feel like they kind of pigeonholed themselves, though, into not being able to lower the price, because if they lower the price of the original model to like $200, they can't sell the Switch Lite at $200.
That's the other facet of it, which is the other models.
Yes.
I feel like Nintendo always puts out these light versions like the 2DS and shit like that they don't put a lot of attention to. It's going to fade out.
Hopefully.
And I would even spend more money if that higher model offered like extremely substantial improvements. But as it is, it's like none of the models like really appeal.
My
to
real
me.
issue with it is that the way that they've the way that the technology's made with the tablet and things like that. First of all, tablets, smartphones, they're outdated in 2 months. So you could argue that it's been 3 years now. They're probably making that tablet for half or a third of the price of that they originally were. And yes, for the $300, you could make a much more powerful system now. But once again, you have the kind of the situation where it's why bother when people are still buying it? And I don't see them focusing more on like a hardcore like 4K market type of deal. I think that's where it's headed. That's where it needs to go, and they're always behind when it comes to that stuff. But yeah, I don't know. It just
No Switch Pro 4K in the future.
I think eventually you'll see something like that. I don't think it'll be particularly great from a performance standpoint.
I think it's becoming more likely that we're going to see just another generation before we really get significant upgrades.
We're nearing 3 years. So
I feel like it's only been out for like a year and a half.
We're nearing 3 years, and if they can stretch this, if they can even keep selling at the rate that they're selling for another year, and then be like, and then so let's say at the 4-year mark it starts to slow down, then they say, okay, we're developing our new Switch 2, and what?
I gotta take a timeout.
Oh, all right. Mike's got to take a timeout.
Continue talking, because as a non-owner, I don't have much to say.
So I think like if they can stretch it to like 4 years where it's still selling as well as it is, and then they go, oh, and then we got Switch 2 on the horizon in a year and a half, 2 years. Like in that point, by the 5-year mark, maybe it starts to wane, and then they're like, well, the Switch 2 is coming out in 6-7 months.
I just feel like they haven't fully explored the console whatsoever. Like, what are the main games? We discussed this at some point. I mean, I feel like there should be more game releases, at least 2 Zelda games on the console.
Well, the second Zelda's coming.
We're going to get that.
Yeah, Zelda 2 is coming out. Animal Crossing is coming in a couple months. Metroid Prime 4.
4, rather.
Yeah. The major releases are coming. At this point, I would say this is the most robust release cycle since maybe the GameCube.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm very happy with the GameCube.
Yeah, the GameCube was kind of, although it didn't sell very well, and it was kind of like not a failure, but it didn't do well. That library, they had everything on there. Everything. They hit every single franchise
except
much.
Mario Maker.
Except for, well, that didn't exist.
Except for Mario Maker.
They should have created it for the GameCube. So pissed about
All right.
So really just they did everything for the GameCube. They're kind of doing the same thing with the Switch, where it's just there hasn't been maybe WarioWare. Like, I can't think of too many other franchises that have been MIA. You know, F-Zero would be nice, but we still got another few. Like, we're not even at the 3-year mark, so the games are not the issue. I think it's mostly hardware. I mean, this system, even in docked mode, most of the shit plays in like 720p.
Yeah, I just got Zelda Breath of the Wild, and visually I wasn't impressed. I was just like, this looks kind of shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Wii U game.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, that's kind of the main focus. And I think
Persona 4 cell shading looks amazing. I don't know why they can do something like that.
Persona 4 or 5?
5.
Yeah, well, that's a PS4 game. I mean, if you put, I think that if they do release a newer model and then they do like maybe a like 4K patch, like Nintendo does a 4K patch for things like Zelda and
they won't.
And Mario Odyssey, that would be a big win. But
I mean, for me, I think it'll continue to improve just naturally. Nintendo will always be 5 years behind, but I think they've proven that there is a market for people who just don't really care about the level of hardware they have, and they just want to have a place they can access all their games like conveniently, and that's what it is for me. So I mean, like even for me, like I have a PS4, I'm playing Overwatch and Fortnite on my Switch just because it's just convenient for me to have it all in one place, and there are a lot of people like me out there. But there's a giant market of people who do care about high quality graphics and everything too. But I think Nintendo has proven that they don't really have to market that way. They just don't.
Yeah.
Like there's PlayStation and Xbox already do that.
Yeah, and I don't think Nintendo's betting on the third-party games as they are the first-party games. You can only get Smash Brothers on our console. You can only get Zelda on our console.
yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, like if you have a console that people want and people are buying it, third parties will naturally come. That's how it's always been, and that's what's happening now. Every third party that in the past has said we're not developing a Switch release, at least if they aren't doing it now, they're highly considering it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just... I just don't want to see them do what every game company does when they are doing well, which is get full of themselves and like, heh, price drop. Why? And then...
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, like, the Wii is a great example where they did great, and that's their... In my opinion, and a lot of other people's, that's the worst fucking console they ever released. And after the first year or two, when they had a lot of like great games come out at first, it turned into a shovelware piece of shit that nobody ever used.
Yeah, the Wii only got fun after
it was a Trojan horse for sure. It was a Trojan horse.
Yeah. So, all right.
They marketed it was a toy that sold really well.
Exactly. One last thing I want to talk about before we get on to our Game of the Year talk is with the release of Death Stranding, which I don't think any of us have played.
No, but I heard a lot about it.
There's been a lot of... The main criticism of the game is that it's not fun.
It's a runner.
And I don't care about the game per se. That's not what this talks about. But I was curious to get your guys' opinions on if you thought that video games have to be fun in order to be good.
So, as a big Metal Gear fan, I really wanted to play this, but after 5, I feel kind of disappointed and let down with their transition to open world. And it's kind of like, I feel like when they go to open world, it's go to point A, drop this off. Go to point B, drop this off. And
that's kind of the main criticism of this game.
Yeah, and I hear it's a lot of that in this game, too.
I mean, feel free to tear the statement apart however you want, but I think asking if games need to be fun is like asking if alcohol needs to get you drunk. Like, that's the point.
Okay, I thought you were going to go in a different direction there, but...
No, I can put up with, certain lengthy amounts of cutscenes if it ties in to the overall gameplay and the story. But if I'm watching 2 hours of cutscenes and then the half hour of game that I'm playing is just going from point A to point B to get to the next cutscene, at that point it's almost like just make a TV series or something. Right.
Well, someone said to me in regards to the game recently, our friend Tom, he was like, I've heard the game is like really interesting and stuff, and it's really like cinematic. And I told him, as far as, because I told him the game is supposed to be boring and that it's supposed to be relatively interesting. But what I told him in response was, I wouldn't watch a 60-hour movie from Tarantino or from Scorsese. I'm not going to play a 60-hour game that's supposed to have a cool story just to get the story.
Yeah, I watched like a couple 20-minute long videos summarizing the story because that's what interested me from the get-go. And I thought that as more stuff came out that I would see a fun and interesting game to back that up.
Well, you thought wrong.
And I thought wrong. And I don't feel guilty at all looking at that because that's all I was interested in. Yeah. And now that I know the story and knowing what I missed, would I have been willing to slog through that much tedious gameplay to get those points? No, I would not have been willing to do that. So I'm glad that I just went ahead and looked it up.
Bowman, where are you at on this?
I mean, in terms of just to bounce back that analogy of alcohol as opposed to get you drunk. For me, I don't drink to get drunk typically. I drink to enjoy the flavor or to relax. So in terms of I know your analogy's video games are
to get you tipsy,
what part
to
about
loosen
it
you
makes
up.
you relax?
The point, it's supposed to affect your state.
Drinking? Relax? Yeah, I mean, I drink a beer after a
But
long
do you
day
not
of work
play a
to,
game
Look,
to enjoy it?
I'm getting into it. Like, I'm getting into my point. I'm opening up with responding to that analogy.
I could have used a number of analogies. Just like
It's not a... Okay, let's forget the alcohol
I understand what
analogy.
he means, in lack of better words.
Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that for me, like, I play visual novels, and I actually do play, like, games and stuff that are pretty much just, like, very little interaction, and it's just all story-based, or there is gameplay, but it's not, like, difficult gameplay, or, like, even particularly, like, quote, fun gameplay.
An example?
So someone like
But
me...
you gain enjoyment from seeing the story, though, right?
Exactly, that's what I'm trying to get at here. Like, I do think that there is something for
Like Life is Strange.
storytelling games, but I will say that it's not a mass appeal, though. And this game was definitely meant to be a giant, blockbuster game.
The issue is that not like you're talking about a visual novel, and the problem is that this is like 40 hours
By
of,
visual
of
novel,
walking.
are we talking about like Heavy Rain? Life is
Sure,
Strange?
like no, even less so than that. Really, like just like a storybook, basically.
Does
where you
anybody
make-
have a game title?
Bowman, rattle off some game titles for him.
I don't know, like the Phoenix Wright series. That's like very
There you
little
go.
gameplay, visual novel game.
Yeah, that's a spot on example.
like that.
all those hentai dating games you got over there.
Yeah,
I'm
there you
sure.
go, dating sim games.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you got True Love right here. You left that one for me on my bookshelf
There you go. You
before
can
you
show
went.
them that. Goodie.
So
That's a
This
big
is not
box.
actually the examples I was meaning to imply, but go ahead.
but the difference is that
Now,
Like-
it's porn video games.
the difference is that with like Death Stranding and the visual novels is that the problem is that it's 40 hours of like boring technical like shitty boring like gameplay to get the 20 hours of
Yeah, I feel like
cutscenes.
gameplay definitely trumps story. Like you were saying, Overwatch. You can play Overwatch, it has no story really, or you can not get into the story but love the gameplay.
I mean,
But
yeah, it's
I don't think it works the other way around.
it was kind of a similar. I feel like it was a similar criticism of Red Dead Redemption 2, where the game kind of teetered on the edge of being a fun game versus, oh, look how realistic it is because you have to like clean your gun and like pet your horse and shit, and it's like, okay, well,
Yeah, Rockstar really loves like patting itself on the back with the amount of like intricacy and like kind of pointless stuff it can throw into the game. And I mean pointless only in the sense of that it lends to that core gameplay. Like it does add a sense of realism.
mm-hmm.
But like the type of games Bowman enjoys, I think it really just comes down to like conveying to the consumer like what they're in for.
Right.
And a lot of people didn't really quite know what to
Well,
expect.
they were super secretive about what the game was like.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it sucked.
And
Yeah.
I mean, one thing that extremely disappointed me trying to research this game, Death Stranding, is you're highly discouraged from engaging in combat or killing other humans, which is directly related to a major plot point in the game. Like, it's something that it's really hammered in, like, you don't want to do. So I can understand, like, okay, so it's basically just getting from point A to point B, not a lot of action, because the story is telling you that's something you don't want to do. But
So
people
you're
have...
avoiding shit this whole game?
Yeah, well, people have gone and purposefully gone against that directive just to see what happens within the game, what kind of consequences the character will face, or how the world changes if you do these things. Nothing happens.
Really?
Nothing.
A bunch
all.
of waste of money. They should have just made PT and call it a day.
I don't know. I applaud him for, walking his own path and doing something without restriction,
and
but
It's kind of the
It's not for
exact
me.
same situation with movies now, where it's like, I might not like the movie, but we're at a point now where if you can do something unique, fine, do it. Like,
Yeah.
I respect that. So, and that's kind of the situation here too. What you're saying, where it's just like, might not be for me, but at least you did something. You did your own thing.
And I don't know if I like the whole celebrities being main characters in my games. Like,
Well, Kojima loves his celebrity friends. He's basically just using his clout as a game developer to make friends with movie stars.
And then he uses Monster
That's so
to pay for
transparent.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's very clear that he's always wanted to be like a movie star or a director. And he's kind of teasing a little bit. He's kind of putting feelers out there to be like, hey, what if I made a movie?
Please.
I
His Instagram and social media stuff is just covered with him. Like, look who it is. Look, I'm hanging out with.
Yep. So, all right, well, yeah. I mean, I've always been a big proponent of, yes, I need my games to be fun to play. Over the years, I've always had friends who are like, you gotta play this game. The story's so amazing. And I'm like, okay, well, I guarantee you that there's like books and movies that are better at story than this game. And like for me, the story is bonus. Like if the story is great, while the game is also great, I'm like, awesome. That's a top tier game for me. If the story's stupid and the game is still great, that's fine. I'll still play the game.
Have you
Well,
guys
for me,
any
Oh.
video game movies?
No.
Like video game more than the movie?
Oh, have I liked the video game more than
Yeah.
the movie? The first thing that comes to mind is like what is the movie? The Butcher Bay.
Yeah, Chronicles of Riddick. That
Yeah.
was what was in my mind.
Yeah, that's the first thing that comes to mind there.
For me, it's Star Wars Episode 3, the movie.
Oh, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. I mean, it's amazing. It's an amazing futuristic racer. And one of my favorite N64 games. One of my favorite racing games of all time. So, yeah, I mean, occasionally, games I can like more than movie. I've never liked a movie based on a game, really. So,
I agree with you there.
yeah. All right. So, real quick.
Rick and Morty?
Sure, yeah. If you guys want to talk about the new Rick and Morty, have at it.
I don't have much to say. I mean, I'm not like a super fan or anything. It's,
Bowman?
Takes a certain level of IQ to really understand.
you son of a bitch. No, I mean, like Pat was saying with movies or games, like as long as anyone's doing something that's like creative or interesting, like I'll bite, like I'll give it some attention. But I'm not a part of the like fandom craze, and I thought this particular episode was maybe a little underwhelming for a season opener. It was a Rick and
Summer
Morty
ruined it.
story. I don't know what to say about it. It was Rick and Morty.
It was a little underwhelming for a season premiere, but I still loved it all the same.
Yeah.
It had that Rickness to it. I love the holographic Rick.
Slick Rick.
He's like my favorite part of that whole episode.
Yeah, he got in like the
The-
slide, like little SJW jabs.
The inequality.
I thought that the ending was extremely predictable. Like that's all I was thinking the entire episode was what they tried to like kind of jab in at the end as a
So
final.
you
joke.
saw... Okay, so we're going to do all spoilers here?
No,
No,
we don't do
I-
spoilers on this show.
I don't think
Sorry,
so.
pal.
we can talk about it later if you wish.
I'm disappointed there was no Pickle Rick reference. I love
know.
Pickle Rick.
He's the number one most popular character in the show. They've yet to bring him back. I don't understand really what's going on.
I
with
don't
that.
think the creators like bringing things back. Like when they have to bring Dimensional TV back, they were just like, "Oh, I guess we're doing this again."
Well, honestly-
then when they had to bring Mises back, they were just like, "Yeah."
I think
We're
the
doing it
show
again.
works best when it's completely like one episode is insulated from the next, like old school South Park or something like
They
that.
kind of are, and then they might just kind of link them together lightly.
Yeah, with something this out there, I just think they'd have more. I don't want to say freedom because they obviously don't give a shit about what they have their characters doing, but
I just hope.
I don't need this to be serialized. Is all I'm saying.
I want to see more of Evil Morty. I felt like the whole thing was teased. I was like, "Is this the origin to Evil Morty?" I was disappointed.
Well,
Who is Evil Morty?
Nah, I kind of like the show when it's just like episodes of gags, just a cartoon show, and then maybe like the last episode they just throw in some ridiculous story to continue on. That's pretty much where I'm at with it.
I really like that Citadel episode.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I'd say
Cool.
10 out of 10.
All right.
Rick Morty would watch again. Pickle Rick. That's what I'm talking about, baby.
So you're not a real Rick and Morty.
Zippity doo dah.
Game of the year. Let's talk. What was your game of the year, Mike?
Oh, throwing it to me.
Yeah.
Well, I've played quite a few games this year, but trying to scroll through my phone when you mentioned this topic earlier, I noticed that many of them, or most of them, didn't come out this year. I only played a handful of games that came out this year, like Resident Evil 2 and Sekiro.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed them both, but I think if I had to give an overall best game, I got to give it up to the Goose. I'm going.
Did you play that?
I'm going Goose Game.
I didn't realize you played that.
Yeah, I played the Goose Game
Recently or when it first came out?
when it first came out.
And you liked it a lot, huh?
I did. I thought it was extremely charming. It was, I think, the perfect length for that style of game. I thought it managed to tell a story, albeit a very simple one, but I was surprised by it. And it's one of those games that you can kind of put the controller in the hand of anyone and watch them have a good time with it. It's just as fun to watch as it is to play. And it's not flashy. It's not a AAA game with, in-game purchases.
It almost seemed like a sandbox game in disguise as like a stealth game or something.
It was just a whole lot of good, wholesome fun.
Okay.
And
I've heard mixed things. I heard a lot of really great things about it, and then I also heard from mostly Giant Bomb. They said that some of them said that it was okay at first,
Well,
and then it kind of grew thin.
I don't want to heap on the praise too much. I mean, my statement here is very qualified because I've only played like 4 games from this year. Like Sekiro, which I've kind of played before, and I wasn't a fan of the changes that FromSoft kind of implemented into their core gameplay loop, if you'll say.
Mm-hmm.
Resident Evil 2, which is a fantastic remake, but I've played it.
Yeah.
Devil May Cry 5, which was mediocre to me, and Goose Game, which I can levy very, very few complaints against. So, without just judging from other people's reviews, I have to personally go with the Goose.
Cool. I'll check it out. Bowman, game of the year?
I'm going to go ahead and just say Toe Jam and Earl Back in the Groove.
Nice, okay.
Oh, yeah, it was this year.
Yeah,
Was not
because
expecting that
Yeah,
one.
it's glitchy. It has its problems, but I've had so much fun with it.
It
And
is a
it's
good
a game.
time.
It's a game that I'm going to keep coming back to years from now. Like I pull it out occasionally, and it's an hour experience. It's always fun.
Well, that's
Yeah,
the great thing
solo
about it,
or
too, is
multiplayer.
that you can pull it out whenever and know that even if you beat the game, you're not going to be busy for more than an hour.
Yep.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. We reviewed it, gave it a great score. Really, I mean, it's everything that it should have been. It's definitely buggy, but if you can look past the rough edges, it's got a level of charm, and it focuses a lot on like the co-op. And there's not enough games coming out nowadays that do that.
Well, it managed to do couch co-op play with online play too. Like that's something that's becoming even more scarce. Like a lot of games will be like couch co-op, but it has no online play.
Right.
And
If they could combine that game with Goose, like maybe you're running around with a chicken, I would lose my mind.
Like a 4-player Goose game.
Yeah, but with different animals
Yeah.
that each have different abilities.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean,
I don't know which 7 people in their basement made that Goose Game, but I hope you're listening. We need 4-player couch co-op. We need a barnyard brawl mode.
game of that goose.
Goose Royale.
Real quick, Mike, what was your game of the year that didn't come out this year? Because we also do that usually. What's your favorite game you played this year? Didn't have to be.
I think Prey.
Okay, I've heard nothing but great things about that.
I just finished Yakuza 0, by the way.
Okay.
Like yesterday.
I really enjoyed that game. It wasn't like a game of the year for me or anything,
No.
but I really had a good time with it.
I get like 8.5 or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Around there.
That series is just solid all around. It's not mind blowing or anything, but it's just a good time. Neil, what's your game of the year?
I'm gonna have to I'm torn between Mortal Kombat and Devil May Cry 5, but I'm gonna give it Devil May Cry 5 for Capcom bringing it back with all their lines, especially like the remake, the last edition they had.
Well, and that kind of made it seem like that was a wrap on the original series, so it's kind of
Exactly.
surprising that they did Devil May Cry 5. Yeah,
And I feel like it was the one game this year that every one of my friends got at launch and were talking to each other about. Like, I don't feel like any other game has created that much buzz around my circle compared to anything that came out. I think Stage Row was up there, but not that many people played it because of the different.
well, I hated that game.
I had a strong love-hate relationship with it.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed myself while playing it, but I was equally frustrated, like thinking how much more it could have been.
And I would have to say a game that didn't come out this year. I'm going to go Persona 5. Although the redundancy is annoying the crap out of me, I had been immersed, and I love the graphics, and I could see the appeal.
yeah.
Yeah, cell shading. I wish I'd see more of that in games.
Yeah, well,
It works
honestly,
perfectly because it's an anime.
I'm a little disappointed. I hope Breath of the... Well, I only played probably an hour of Breath of the Wild today. So I'm hoping it picks up, but right now...
So basically, you're still
Hoping it
in
picks
the
up.
opening area.
Yeah. I'm just so turned off by the graphics a little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
The
like
art
really
style
beautiful.
of Breath of the Wild?
Yeah.
That's like.
Did you ever play
Yeah, like
Wind
the-
Waker?
Yeah.
And that's fine, but Breath of the Wild is... What don't you like about it?
Just for a new console game, I just expected more.
I mean,
that
it does
first
look
moment
like
when
shit at times.
when he runs out and you see how vast the world is. Like,
Yeah, but
I
it definitely
want that
looks.
moment
It
again.
definitely looks like shit.
Well,
at
Yeah.
times.
Okay, I played
He's
it
not
on...
talking about the art style. He's saying like just the roughness. Like
Okay.
if you look in a field of grass, the grass looks like a bunch of razor blades.
Well,
like,
you
looks
got to
like
remember,
saws.
I played it on a Wii U emulator
at 4K.
Yeah, with anti-aliasing and 60
Yeah,
frames
no, I mean
and all
there's
that
times
shit.
there's times where, yeah, I mean it seems like the game has no aliasing or anti-aliasing at all. At
Frame rate
times.
drops.
Frame rate's really bad, but the art style itself, though, you don't have any issue with
No,
that.
no,
like
no.
the cell
It's,
shading.
Okay.
it's Zelda art style. It's just for a new console game.
Yeah, but it's really not a new console. It's
Yeah,
you know
what
you're
I'm
using.
I just
your-
paid $60 for this fucking game. Okay.
Your average iPad has more power than the Switch, so
That's sad.
No, that's a
Don't know.
justifiable complaint.
Yeah.
One I'm glad I didn't have to experience.
I mean, if you're playing it on handheld mode, you probably wouldn't notice it. But
No, I was playing it. Well,
Yeah.
Zelda doesn't seem like something I'm going to play on handheld mode, really.
yeah, well, I think so I was thinking about this to some great extent today, and it's for me. It was torn between two games: Resident Evil 2 and Mario Maker 2, and they're both in a way kind of like remakes, and that's why I was kind of torn on them. Like, they've been made before, basically, and I'd finally settled on Resident Evil 2.
Really?
The reason for that is because everything that was great about Mario Maker 2 was made by other people.
True. You just raved about it so hard
I
when
loved
it came out.
I loved it. It was really good. I think it's the best Mario game in many, many years, and I think it's the best valued game for the Switch. I think if you're like a 10-year-old kid and you can only afford one game for like a year, Mario Maker 2 is what you should get. But I think that overall, I have to give the slight edge to Resident Evil 2 just because I really enjoyed the hell out of that game. Single player, story-based, story-focused experience. It was so polished. It felt so good running around, kneecapping zombies and shit. Yeah, I can't give... The only reason I don't give Mario Maker 2 the edge is because I didn't give a shit about the single-player stuff. It was all multiplayer shit that I liked. It was all the multiplayer maps, and some of them were phenomenal. The online was terrible. I've yet to play with any of my friends online, and the reason for that is because everything I've ever heard is like, do not fucking play this online. It's awful.
Lars and I tested it the other day, and it
clips.
just didn't work at all.
Yeah, it's been out for 7 months now or whatever, 6 months, and Bowman played the other day. It still sucks. Like, it's unplayable online. So, yeah, there's some really, really fucking great levels, and there's some really great content on there, and you could play for the next 1,000 years and never play the same level twice, but it just, as a game from a development company that was put out as a product, Resident Evil 2, my game of the year. Yeah, it was kind of a quiet year.
It's no 2018.
Yeah, Animal Crossing, if it had come out, probably would have been my game of the year, but it was delayed. Doom Eternal probably would have been my game of the year, but it was delayed.
Yeah, and there's a couple more that I mean to play before the year's up. Like, I just started playing Control once I finished Yakuza.
I thought that was a VR game.
No.
I'm actually looking forward to Star Wars Fallen Order.
Oh, yeah, that wasn't on my radar, but now I might give it a shot.
It's on my
down the
radar
road.
now, but it'll be $15 in a few months, so...
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
And, Outer Worlds I might play eventually.
Highly interested in Outer Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Highly.
Luigi's Mansion looks really good.
Luigi's Mansion, I'm interested in. I almost bought it recently. I almost bought Star Wars, but I'm like... neither of those games stuck out to me as I need to play them immediately, and I have so many games that I can play.
Yeah.
Just an off note. Well, I guess we'll get into what we've been playing and what we've been doing. So for me, just a side note, today I ordered the Sega Justifier for the Sega Genesis. It's the revolver light gun because I'm going to start playing Snatcher.
Have you seen that new arcade game that they showed off at IAPA?
No.
It's I forget the name of the company. They made Space Invaders, but it's like a light gun game, except it uses real airsoft pellets.
I did. Okay, yes,
I
did see this.
You shoot at the screen.
I did see this. Yeah.
It's kind of novel, but I almost feel like, what's the point? Because a lot of those guns already give like such great force feedback that I don't really know what the point of shooting the actual pellet is.
One time I saw a arcade game that was you like shoot it's like a skeet shooting game. You shoot a little teacup, and it's an actual ceramic teacup, and you shoot it and it explodes.
Oh, yeah. There's like, I remember
and then
that.
it all comes back together when the next game starts or whatever.
It was like a coffee mug or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like all on wires or something?
It was, I think, wires magnetized, something like that.
It was magic, man. It was cool looking.
Yeah. So,
all right.
But yeah, so I'm getting ready to play Snatcher. I started. I really dug into Bloodstained today. I bought it at launch, and then I think I got distracted with something else and never got around to playing it. So today, I dug into it for several hours. I'm about 15% into the game now, completion.
I'm waiting for that to be dirt cheap.
Man, I think it's already gotten to that point. I think I've seen it as low as like $20 physical.
Yeah.
Really great. It's Symphony of the Night, essentially. That's what it is. They're not allowed to call it Castlevania, but it is a Metroidvania game created by the guy who did Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and it's very much Symphony of the Night, and it is really well done. A little rough around the edges. Had a lot of bugs when it first came out, and I was a little annoyed actually because I was about half an hour in when I first bought the game, and then I picked up my save today, and it was so buggy when it first came out that one of my favorite YouTube channels, GameSack, had a partnership with the developers, and if you put in your name as GameSack in the opening of the game, you get the Sega Genesis power strip that they made in the 90s for all the add-ons for the Genesis, and so it's like the Sega power strip, and then it says GameSack on it. It's like a special weapon that you get if you're and it was so buggy that I did that and I didn't get the item. And now they fixed it with like a patch and stuff, but I didn't want to start my save over. So
yeah, I've played too many of those like Metroidvania style games to be interested in it right now, but maybe.
But this is
later.
different. This is different because it's mechanic wise, it feels like a sequel to Symphony of the Night. So I played a lot of those Metroidvania games too, but they all have their own feel to it. And
yeah, like I think I went through Ori in the Blind Forest and like Hollow Knight this year.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, I recommend the Bloodstained prequel that they released as a Kickstarter bonus, because that's just basically a remake of Castlevania 3. It's not a Metroidvania. It's a linear side-scrolling Castlevania game, basically, and that was phenomenal. I got that on the Switch from Limited Run, and I loved it. Played through it completely. So, Bowman, what have you been doing lately?
Game-wise, I started Resident Evil, but I haven't touched it in a while. But
Resident Evil 2?
Phoenix Wright no, for the first one, I still haven't beat it because I just picked it up and I put it down. I'll pick it back up soon. But I've been playing Phoenix Wright Trilogy because I've been traveling a lot in the train, long distances, so Phoenix Wright Trilogy at the moment. And also Fortnite and Overwatch. I've been playing Overwatch a lot on my Switch, actually, again. Getting back into it.
Oh. Okay. So you're playing the Resident Evil remake?
Yeah, Resident Evil 1 remake.
Okay.
So,
Fortnite, and then what was the other game?
Yeah, well, because Overwatch for Switch. Because what I'm trying to do right now, I'm like trying to like implement Japanese language in every aspect of like entertainment for myself. So I put my system in Japanese, and I play with Japanese players. So even like Overwatch is completely in Japanese now. Like all the voices and the menus are all Japanese now. So I'm trying to eventually like play with Japanese players more and actually talk to them. So I played Fortnite and actually played with a couple Japanese kids the other day, and we did talk like a little bit. So it's just me like trying to constantly put in learning with my games now.
It's kind of magical.
What have you been up to otherwise in Japan? How's that going?
It's good. It's starting to get really cold, so just getting more winter wear. I bought a space heater. I might buy a kotatsu, the like the table heater with the futon.
Right.
I might buy one. I'm not sure yet.
Get the full Japanese experience. Buy one.
Yeah, I might. We'll see. So all the Christmas decorations are going up. Yesterday, my girlfriend and I, we went out. They had like 2 Christmas like food and wine type things almost, where they're just Christmas markets. They'll be up all the way to Christmas.
Log.
Yeah, they got like Christmas lights and lots of German food. One market was just completely like German sausage and whatever, like in German like snacks, treats.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So, but yeah, that's pretty much been my life over here right now.
Neil, what have you been up to?
Just playing Smash, really.
Yeah, you just got a Switch.
Yeah. So Smash, I just
nice.
bought Zelda. I want to buy some of these indie games on the game deal because they're like $11 and they look pretty good.
There are some really
Neil's
good...
flash deals.
Yeah, Neil's flash deals. There are some pretty good deals on there.
I do want to even create a segment where I go through
That's the joke.
what's on sale.
That's the joke.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some really decent deals on the Switch store. If you keep your eye open, you can actually get games for like free on there. They'll sell games sometimes for like a penny or like 10 cents.
No, I've seen that.
And they'll give you enough coins that it pays for itself.
I have no idea why I'm so hooked. When I see like 60% off, I'm like, I gotta get it.
Yeah, you're
Well,
the,
Neil,
you're the
like
target
really good
audience.
feature if we want to talk about making good savings is if you see a game you want to buy down on eventually. I do this a lot. I add it to my wish list, and Nintendo emails you when a sale goes on, like Steam.
Oh, well, I just realized I should just buy all, like, so I don't know when you were here if you use this offer up kind of app where you can get like used stuff or whatever the case is. So I saw Zelda Breath on the Wild on there for like $35. I should have just got it.
Absolutely,
like,
yeah. Games
I'm,
like 3
I'm
years
just
old
gonna
now.
do that from now on.
Anybody got their eye on any Black Friday deals?
Not at all.
Yeah, I'm not going through that.
Just regret it that Overwatch is $25 on Black Friday, and I
Yeah,
just bought
I'm gonna
it.
get Killer Queen Black for Switch. It's $15.
Anybody excited about Overwatch
I
2?
want that. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about
No.
that last week.
Oh, my bad. I didn't know you touched BlizzCon.
That's such a strange being.
Overwatch 2, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just basically a single player DLC type of deal.
Yeah, it's not single player though.
Well, it's-
Campaign.
yeah,
mode.
campaign. Yeah.
It's not single player at all. It's still multiplayer.
Campaign mode. Excuse us.
story.
Okay,
mode.
I still don't understand like what you even mean by that, but all right.
It's a PvE.
PvE story campaign.
Okay, so
It's a campaign.
multiplayer versus enemy. Okay,
Yeah.
Player versus everything.
all right.
We're upsetting the Overwatch boy here.
You're not upset at me. It's just like you keep saying single player.
Who's
I'm
your
just like,
main on Overwatch,
It's
by the way?
confusing when you say that.
Well, I
'Cause it's still a
honestly,
multiplayer
I hope it
experience.
would have a single player mode. If I'm paying money for the new game, I'd like to be able to play the PvE missions with bots or something.
Anyways,
I wouldn't.
I mean, it's not ideal, but I'd like that option.
who's your main, Bowman?
I don't have any mains, but I mean, like tank wise, I've been using Orisa and Reinhardt a lot, just because Switch. The dynamics a lot different on Switch, just because
Really?
of obvious reasons.
You're using a
Well, yeah,
controller.
sure.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
Reinhardt, you don't have to aim as much, so a lot less people will choose characters where you have to like be really spot on with aim.
Mainly
Healer
Lucio.
wise, I love Moira. Like Moira's awesome.
Cool.
I don't know who any of these people are.
I didn't
Nah.
either. Yeah, I know.
I love
for a while.
Overwatch. I kind of love everything Blizzard does. That's why I'm disappointed. I missed the
so
BlizzCon.
there was this joke. I mean, it was a joke to me. I think everyone else is being serious. Where for a long time, Bowman and Lars and maybe other people too were like, "You don't even play Overwatch because I quote unquote only played it for 50 hours or 40 hours," which I.
You didn't play it for that long. You played it
Yes,
for
I
like maybe
did.
10, 15
yes, I
tops.
absolutely did. I played it for
No,
like
you
40
didn't.
hours. Yes, I did.
All
And
right.
and anyway, I mean, I don't even know if I can still bring up my playtime. I don't.
Nah, when did you
does
do
it-
it?
when it first
I'll
came
take your
out.
word for it. That's all
it's,
good.
It's different. Characters have been nerfed. Things change.
As I remember, you started playing it like right about when I was losing
It
enthusiasm.
was around when
for
it came out. It was the first
Was it?
couple months.
Because I remember you complaining like, "Oh, now that I'm playing, like nobody else is online."
Yeah.
No, Overwatch is like my favorite game when I'm bored, just to log on and kill time. Like I've never had like a first, like yeah, there's Call of Duty, there's all that, but Overwatch takes the cake, man.
I almost bit on Modern Warfare just because I loved it when it came out so much.
I don't even like Fortnite compared to Overwatch. I really like Overwatch a lot better. Fortnite, I don't like the whole building aspect of that. Apex Legend, have you played that, Bowman?
No, because I don't have online for PlayStation, so I can't play it.
I would say Apex Legend I like better than Fortnite, but overall I'm Overwatch.
I like
Yeah,
that.
one of my like students the other day walked up to me and said, "Why are you playing Fortnite? You need to play Apex Legends. That one's so much better. I hate the building in Fortnite."
I'm not that passionate about it. I'm not going to go up and tell people that, but it's good.
I like that
It's a kid,
that battle
so-
royale game that we played for a while, Bowman. What was that called? The Culling.
The culling.
That was fun.
That was fun. It was really frustrating at times just because like you put so much work into just bam dead.
It was kind of like a first-person Fortnite without the crap or without the building.
Yeah, it was cool, but it had a high emphasis on crafting.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's wrap this up.
Oh, real quick question:
Okay.
Does Overwatch for the Switch have cross-platform connection like Fortnite
No, absolutely
does?
not. Like none of them have cross-platform.
I thought Fortnite does.
I thought, well, Overwatch. I'm saying once again, Overwatch has no cross-platform at all.
Yeah, but you said
No.
none of them.
Fortnite does.
Okay.
Fortnite does. Yeah.
Okay.
All
Just
right.
checking.
The way they set up Fortnite now is that mobile and Switch players are default with each other, because before they had it that you could cross-platform with everyone like instantly, automatically. But obviously, console and PC players have a huge advantage over mobile and Switch players. So
Yeah, well-
they stopped that.
No, well, the other day I think I played with on the computer on my laptop, and which was great because my laptop doesn't have any graphics card or anything, but it was able to play Fortnite against my little nephew playing on his Switch.
So, but I think you have to like manually join their game.
Exactly.
It
They
won't
give you the
join
option,
up
but
with
they
those
don't
people.
automatically.
yeah,
do it.
yeah, you won't be matched.
I'm a Fortnite virgin. I have no plans of changing that.
Yeah.
I mean,
fine.
I played it, just not crazy about it.
Yeah,
I
I'm not
don't
trying to
know.
sell it
I
to
just
anybody, but I'm
no.
having a good time.
I just
We're not the target audience.
I'm just trying to chime in with something here.
We're about 20 years.
I don't know. I heard they had concerts on there. I was like, oh, maybe I should go check out these concerts, man.
If
Yeah,
we're-
they got people dabbing and stuff. Whatever. I don't know.
If we're
Wow.
about to wrap
felt
up,
young.
I guess the only thing I've been up to, like I said, I finished Yakuza 0. I've been debating what game to play next with Star Wars just releasing, and started up Control, and I've also got Outer Worlds in the waiting. If I can put in plug for movies, like Pat, I loved The Lighthouse. So if you have a chance to see that, and you
I'm
haven't
envious.
yet-
I want to see it.
yeah, definitely go see The Lighthouse. But I also saw Parasite recently,
Yeah.
and this
Oh, everyone's raving about
this
that.
easily is my favorite film of the year that I've seen. I can't recommend it enough.
That's the
Not-
Korean horror movie, right?
You know, I went into it knowing almost nothing about it, but just from the title and sort of the cover, I thought it would be like a horror.
Thought it was
But
based on the
it's,
anime.
It's not. It's sort of one of those movies that defies any like one genre because it does so many things well. Like it's hilarious and it's also tense, and there's moments that are kind of horrifying, and you both kind of resent and feel sympathy for characters at the same time. It's best going in blind, so I don't even want to talk about it except to say that it's a must watch for anybody
pretty
who's
much don't know-
serious about films.
I pretty much don't know anything about it other than it's been recommended to me on multiple occasions by people that I respect's opinions. So I have it queued up and ready to watch.
Nice.
Good.
All right, I'll check it out too.
Yeah. Good movie. It's a good old fashioned film, just storytelling. There's no weird like paranormal hooks or weird gimmicks. It's just, strong story done well by a really competent filmmaker.
Okay, cool. I
I
saw Terminator yesterday.
Oh,
Segway.
Best
What'd you
movie
think?
you've ever
And,
seen?
it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. It
God.
was a mess. It was a complete mess,
It's
and
so
just so
dumb.
much so predictable, like every aspect.
Well,
You
did they
are
destroy?
the savior. Oh, I didn't see that coming.
yeah, exactly. I think the movies really set the tone for me. I think I might have mentioned it last week with you. Where like the first two movies take the first whole act of to set up everything and set up the world and the characters. And this movie, that scene in the trailer where they're fighting in the warehouse with the sledgehammer, is like 10 minutes in.
Well, that's the thing. Is that my eyes were glazing over so quickly.
Bowman
When that scene starts where they're fighting in the factory, I'm like, oh, okay, I guess this is what the movie's going to be then.
You gotta move with me.
It got so boring so quickly just because of the nonstop action that I almost felt sorry for like the people who worked hard for these scenes, because I'm just thinking, man, I don't give a shit about this scene.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
too much.
Are you going to play the Terminator?
Oh, no.
No.
it got horrendous reviews.
Well, you
Like,
said you thought about playing Call of Duty, so I thought maybe.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare, though, it's a remake of the best Call of Duty, and it's something that I played at great length.
Is the campaign a straight remake?
All the maps and everything's the same. It's a remake.
I meant the single player.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought
It's a total remake.
Story.
I think it's a total remake. Now you got me questioning it, but I thought it was a remake of the 2007 game.
I don't care.
Well, anyway, so it's... I'm not playing that Terminator game. I was somewhat interested in it, but it got like 4s out of 10s. Like,
Red lasers.
Yeah.
Everybody knows the lasers are purple.
I'm fine with red lasers, honestly. Lasers at this point is a plus, period. Terminator Salvation didn't have any fucking lasers. So, but yeah. The movie was disappointing for sure.
You want to know what I'm looking forward to? And it's
Sure.
on Disney Plus. The Marvel What If series.
Yeah.
All right, we're done. Let's go ahead and wrap this up.
I'm totally off the Marvel train. I was just waiting to jump off, and then after seeing Avengers Endgame, I'm like, okay, thank you, bye-bye.
Well, this is going to be animated, for one. And I don't know if you guys are a fan of the DC animations.
No.
Really?
No.
The DC animated movies are pretty good.
Well, I mean, I'll give them one thing. At least they're shot for shot the same as the comics, so, you can't fuck that up, I guess.
They do some changes, but it's never good when they do.
Yeah.
I'd rather shot for shot.
I watched The Killing Joke. I watched...
The Killing Joke was not shot for shot.
I watched
That's the
Dark
problem.
Knight Returns. And that was...
Dark Knight Returns is good.
That was fine. It was shot for shot.
Yeah, that was good, though.
But I just rather read
That's
the
what
book,
I'm saying.
honestly.
The good ones are shot for shot.
I just rather read the books. And I don't want to have anything to do with Disney's Marvel anymore.
Okay. You're entitled to your opinion.
I'm tapped out. 22...
Pat, where can you find us on online?
22 movies is the limit for me. Anyway, all right. Bowman's chomping at the bit here, and I'm ready to eat my dinner.
Chomping.
If you made it this far, thank you so goddamn much for listening. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can get the podcast, and we started doing videos. Okay, you can get us on YouTube now. You can get the podcasts at anywhere they sell or promote podcasts. Do they sell podcasts?
No, I don't think
Anywhere they upload podcasts. Podbean, Stitcher, Google Play.
It depends on how big your chest is.
iTunes. You can get all of our reviews, podcast videos, whatever on www.analogoutmedia.com. Please leave us a 5-star review. If you listen to this full hour and 15-minute podcast and you haven't given us a 5-star review, what the fuck are you doing? Get out there. It helps the show. I think. That's what I hear. That's what every podcast says. It helps the show so much. I'm going to parrot that. And on that note, I want you to all have a safe week. Love you. Goodbye, everyone.
It was fun. Thanks for
Peace.
having me back.
You're very welcome. Bowman.
Good talking to you guys.
All right, guys. Dynamite. Thank you. And good night.